Today, we're exploring Nebraska to bring 25 of its most haunting legends back to life. Stories you might still encounter today. Number 25, Hannah, the Lantern Ghost of Platte River. Near the quiet banks of Nebraska's Platte River, a ghost story has flickered for over a century. It's the tale of Hannah, a young woman who died of heartbreak after losing her newborn child under tragic and mysterious circumstances. Her family, trying to hide their shame, buried her quickly and quietly, hoping the river would wash the memory away. But Hannah's sorrow refused to stay buried. Soon after her death, travelers along the river began to notice a pale light bobbing in the dark. It looked like an old lantern, swinging gently between the trees. Some who followed it claimed to see a woman in a simple dress, her face full of sadness, softly calling out, "Where are you?" The light never burned out, and no one ever found its source. As the legend grew, people began calling her the Lantern Ghost of the Platte. Locals passed down the story, warning their children not to wander too close at night. Fishermen sometimes heard footsteps behind them or spotted a glowing shape just beyond the fog. Old-timers said the lantern only appeared to the kind-hearted, those who might help Hannah find the child she never held. But anyone who mocked her, they said, might lose their way in the dark and never come back. To this day, the story of Hannah remains a part of Nebraska's river towns. Some say she still roams the banks, lantern in hand, forever searching. Whether ghost or grief made real, her story carries a message that lingers like her light. Some loves are too deep to ever truly fade. Number 24, Flying Man of Falls City. In the early 1900s, folks in Falls City, Nebraska, began whispering about a mysterious man who could fly. On breezy nights, locals claimed to see a human-shaped figure gliding through the air over Main Street. Some said he had wings like a bat, while others swore he floated without any sound, lit faintly by a glow that wasn't quite moonlight. The town's newspaper printed a short mention of a man overhead, and suddenly, everyone had a story to tell. Night after night, the flying man returned. Children gathered in fields with binoculars, while adults squinted into the sky from porches and rooftops. No one could explain how he moved. Too slow for a bird, too smooth for a machine. A few believed he was a clever inventor, with a homemade glider. Others were sure it was something beyond human, perhaps an angel or a ghost, looking for peace in the clouds. Around the same time, other strange flying objects were reported across the Midwest. But Falls City's visitor was different. He was personal, familiar, almost curious. Witnesses described a man in a dark coat, arms outstretched, never speaking, never landing. Groups of men tried to track him or spot where he came down, but their efforts always ended in empty fields and fading footprints. Eventually, the sightings stopped, and the flying man became legend. Yet, some say that when the wind is just right and the sky is clear, a shadow still floats high above Falls City. Whether it was hoax, miracle, or mystery, no one ever found the truth. The skies over Nebraska still hold the question: was he real, or just something the land itself wanted us to see? Number 23, the Salt Witch of the Plains. Long ago, the salt flats of western Nebraska shimmered under the sun, hiding more than just minerals. According to Pawnee legend, a great chief once tracked strange cries across the plains and discovered an eerie sight: a ghostly old woman attacking a younger figure who wore his dead wife's face. Horrified, the chief struck down the witch with his tomahawk. But as the dust settled, both figures vanished into the earth, and in their place stood a strange column of salt, bright, white, and cold. The tribe believed this column sealed something dark beneath the soil. They called her the Salt Witch and warned travelers never to disturb her resting place. For years, hunters and settlers gave the salt mound wide berth. It was said that anyone who chipped away too much would hear whispers in the wind or find their path lost in endless prairie. Even brave souls returned shaken, unable to explain the chill that crept through their bones. By the mid-1800s, curious explorers had written about the site. Some tried to profit from the salt, but the local stories spread faster than the harvest. A pattern formed. Tools went missing. Horses refused to step near the mound, and men claimed they saw a hunched woman just before their lanterns died. Newspapers briefly called it a mystery, but locals knew better. The witch, they said, had never really left. Today, few signs remain of the original pillar, but the tale is still told across Nebraska. Ranchers pass it down to children, and hikers sometimes report the same ghostly figure roaming the flats at sunset. Whether you believe or not, the Salt Witch reminds everyone. Some stories aren't just stories, they're warnings carved into the land. Number 22, Phantom of Rawhide Creek. The tale of the Phantom of Rawhide Creek takes us back to the mid-1800s, when settlers moved through the Nebraska frontier. Near the town of Niobrara, a young man named Rawhide Jack was captured by native warriors. Though peace had been strained, it said Jack was not a soldier, but a traveler caught in the wrong place. What followed became legend. He was tied to a tree, his skin flayed, and his body left by the creek. Whether for revenge or warning, the event marked the land forever. Soon after, people claimed strange things near the water. Campers heard crying in the night, and riders spotted a ghostly figure limping along the bank. He was wrapped in a torn hide, his face pale and twisted in pain. Some said it was Rawhide Jack's spirit, still wandering the site of his suffering. Others believed it was a warning spirit, protecting the land from further violence. Either way, no one wanted to be near Rawhide Creek after dark. In time, the story turned into ritual. Locals held an annual Rawhide reenactment to remember the ghost's tale. They staged the capture and death of the phantom, turning the tragedy into a kind of performance. But even during the celebrations, visitors reported strange chills and flickering shadows. Some said the reenactments disturbed the spirit, while others believed they kept him at peace by honoring his memory. Today, Rawhide Creek still flows quietly through Knox County, and the phantom remains one of Nebraska's most talked about ghosts. Whether a restless soul or a story grown out of guilt and fear, his legend is rooted deep in the land, and those who camp nearby still leave an extra light on, just in case he comes looking for justice. Number 21, Black Dog. In the rolling hills of Nebraska's countryside, a dark creature is said to stalk the lonely backroads, an enormous black dog with glowing red eyes. The legend stretches back to pioneer times, when travelers crossing the plains spoke of being followed at night by a silent beast. It never barked or attacked. It simply appeared out of the mist, pacing beside wagons or watching from the brush, disappearing before dawn. As settlers began building small towns and ranches, the sightings continued. Farmers returned home shaken, describing the same shadowy figure. They said the dog moved without sound, its paws never touching the ground. Strangely, it was often seen before tragedy struck, crops failing, sickness spreading, or a loved one dying. Over time, people began to fear the black dog not as a creature, but as an omen. The most famous sightings came from southeastern Nebraska. In Otto and Nemaha counties, stories were passed down of children seeing the dog outside their windows, or travelers meeting it at crossroads. Local legends claimed that trying to touch or shoot the dog would only cause it to vanish, then return later, closer. One family even claimed their horse refused to leave the barn for days after seeing the beast standing at the gate. Today, the black dog is still whispered about, especially when bad luck lingers. Some believe it's a spirit of sorrow tied to the land. Others say it guards ancient secrets buried beneath Nebraska's soil. Whatever the truth, when the wind howls through the trees at night and the road ahead turns black, folks remember the legend and hope the red eyes aren't watching them. Number 20, Seven Sisters Road. Not far from Nebraska City lies a winding stretch of road locals call Seven Sisters Road. The legend dates back to the 1900s, when a young man, angered by a family feud, led his seven sisters one by one into the hills and hanged them from trees. Some say it was madness, others say jealousy or rage. Whatever the cause, the horror shocked the area, and the land was never the same. Ever since, drivers have reported eerie sounds and strange malfunctions along that road. Engines stall without warning. Headlights flicker. Some claim to hear a chorus of cries or soft female voices whispering through the trees. Those who dare to walk the road at night report cold spots and the feeling of being watched. A few even said they saw women in white drifting between the trees before vanishing into the dark. Local historians have tried to track the origin, but the truth remains murky. No official records list the crime, but the story continues to thrive through generations. Ghost hunters have visited the area, capturing odd readings and unexplained audio. Some say the land itself holds the sorrow, while others believe the sisters still wander, confused and bound by betrayal. Today, Seven Sisters Road is more than just pavement through Otto County. It's a path soaked in legend. Teenagers still dare each other to drive it at night, windows rolled down, waiting for a whisper or a glimpse of white. Whether true crime or folklore, the story has grown roots in the hills, reminding everyone that some wounds, even if forgotten on paper, never fully fade from the land. Number 19, Nebraska's UFO Encounters. In the quiet town of Ashland, Nebraska, the year 1967 brought one of the strangest events in the state's history. Sheriff Herbert Shermer was on patrol in the early morning hours when he saw flashing red lights ahead. Expecting to find a car accident, he instead came face to face with a metallic oval-shaped craft hovering above the road. The ship emitted a high-pitched whine and bore a strange emblem. As the sheriff approached, he lost time, later realizing nearly 20 minutes had vanished from his memory. Schirmer reported the incident immediately, and the Air Force even investigated, including him in the now declassified Condon report. Under hypnosis, he recalled being taken aboard the craft, where humanoid beings in tight suits showed him their ship. Though skeptics questioned his story, Schirmer stuck to it for the rest of his life. His credibility and position in law enforcement gave weight to the encounter, and Ashland has never forgotten the night the stars came closer. Since then, Nebraskans across the state have reported strange lights in the sky, cattle mutilations, and silent crafts flying low over cornfields. Places like Grand Island and North Platte have their own unexplained sightings, leading many to believe Nebraska is part of a larger phenomenon. Locals whisper that whatever Schirmer saw wasn't just a one-time event. It may have been the start of something much bigger. Even today, people in Ashland still tell the tale of the night their sheriff saw something out of this world. Street signs mark the location, and some visitors claim to feel a strange tingling near the site. Whether it was alien contact or a powerful dream, Schirmer's encounter remains one of the most famous and puzzling UFO stories in the Midwest. Number 18. The Hatchet House Teacher. In the town of Papillion, an old brick schoolhouse once stood near the edge of the woods. Built in the late 1800s, it was like many others across rural Nebraska, but one tale set it apart, a story of a teacher pushed too far. According to legend, one stormy afternoon, the teacher snapped after weeks of torment by her students. Locked inside with no escape, she grabbed a hatchet from the woodpile and turned on her class. By the time anyone arrived, the building was silent. All inside had perished, and the teacher was never seen again. Locals believed she had vanished into the woods, but others claimed she still haunted the ruins. The Hatchet House, as it came to be known, was eventually torn down, but strange sightings and sounds remained. Ghostly screams and flickering lights were reported at night, and some claimed to hear the rhythmic clunk of a hatchet hitting wood. Over the years, teenagers dared each other to visit the site. Those who returned said they felt watched, and some even found small handprints on their car windows. A few claimed to see a shadowy figure in an old-fashioned dress holding a small axe silently standing among the trees. The local sheriff once warned people to stay away, not just for safety, but out of respect for what might still linger. Though the original school is gone, the legend has never faded. Many Papillion residents still believe the Hatchet House teacher waits in the dark, especially when thunder rumbles and the wind picks up. It's a chilling reminder of how easily fear can turn a quiet classroom into a permanent nightmare. Number 17. Oakland Creature. In the 1970s, residents of Oakland, Nebraska, began whispering about a strange creature lurking near the Logan Creek area. Farmers described seeing a tall, dark figure with glowing eyes roaming their fields at night. It moved quickly, on two legs, and left behind enormous tracks that didn't match any known animal. Livestock went missing or were found mutilated, and fear spread through the small town. Some believed it was a Bigfoot-like creature. Others thought it might be something more supernatural. A group of high school boys once tried to track it, only to flee when they heard loud guttural growls and saw a hulking figure rise from the shadows. One boy claimed the thing had hair like wet moss and eyes that burned red like coals. He never returned to that part of the woods again. As sightings grew, the town became divided. Some wanted to organize hunts, while others warned against disturbing whatever it was. A local sheriff investigated but could never confirm any evidence beyond strange tracks and terrified witnesses. The mystery deepened when a few families left the area altogether, unwilling to risk another encounter. To this day, the Oakland Creature is still talked about in whispers. Though sightings have slowed, every so often, someone reports a shadow crossing the road or a chilling howl in the distance. For the people of Oakland, it's not just a tale, it's a warning. Stay close to the light and never walk alone near the creek after dark. Number 16. Albino Cannibals of Hmel Park. In the northern woods of Omaha lies Hmel Park, a place with a reputation that goes far beyond its hiking trails. For decades, locals have whispered about the eerie things that happen there: disappearing animals, strange footprints, and chilling voices carried by the wind. But the most terrifying legend involves a group of pale-skinned, red-eyed figures believed to live deep in the woods, the Albino Cannibals of Hmel Park. Stories claim that long ago, a group of people with albinism were pushed out of society and forced to live in isolation near the park. Over time, the tale says, they grew feral and violent, attacking those who wandered too far off trail. Hikers began reporting odd sightings: white figures darting between trees, carcasses of small animals, and even the feeling of being watched. Some even say there's an abandoned house hidden in the woods where they once lived, or still do. Adding to the fear are the mysterious staircases known as the Stairs to Nowhere. Legend says that if you count the steps going up, you'll never get the same number going down. Strange graffiti, inverted crosses, and odd symbols only deepen the park's unnerving reputation. Law enforcement has dismissed the stories as urban legends, but they've also warned people not to explore the area alone after dark. To this day, teenagers dare each other to spend the night there, but most don't last long. The park is beautiful by day, but once the sun sets, it changes. The woods feel too quiet. Locals say the albino cannibals still roam Hmel Park, just waiting for another lost soul to wander off the path and into their shadowy world. Number 15. Ghost Light of Alliance Theater. In the quiet town of Alliance, Nebraska, the local theater stands as both a cultural gem and a source of ghostly tales. Built in the early 1900s, the theater has hosted countless plays, films, and events, but it's the flickering lights and eerie footsteps after closing time that have made it truly unforgettable. Locals believe a spirit still calls the Alliance Theater home, and it makes itself known in the soft glow of the ghost light left on stage. Staff and performers have long reported odd occurrences. Props move on their own, doors creak open without explanation, and a cold breeze often rushes through empty seats. But the most common sighting is of a misty figure watching from the balcony. Some say it's the spirit of a former projectionist who died in the building. Others believe it's a lonely actor who never left the spotlight. The ghost light, a single bulb left burning on stage each night, is a theater tradition meant to ward off accidents. But in Alliance, it's also believed to keep the ghost content. When the bulb has burned out or been removed, activity in the theater increases. Strange noises echo, shadows dart backstage, and people feel invisible hands brush past them in the dark. Despite the ghostly presence, the Alliance Theater remains a beloved part of the community. Performers have even come to view the spirit as a quiet guardian of the stage. Whether real or imagined, the ghost light continues to shine each night, casting a gentle glow that honors both the living and the lingering spirit who still enjoys the show. Number 14. Walgrren Lake Monster. Tucked away in Sheridan County, Walgrren Lake is a peaceful place until you hear the legend that swims just beneath its surface. Since the 1920s, stories have spread of a bizarre lake creature said to dwell in the murky water. Described as anywhere from 20 to 40 feet long, with a scaly back and horned head, the monster has been blamed for frightening swimmers and capsizing small boats. Locals call it the Walgrren Lake Monster, and its legend refuses to sink. The first widely reported sighting came from a group of fishermen who swore they saw a giant creature roll across the surface of the lake, creating waves like a motorboat. Newspapers picked up the story, and more sightings followed. Some described the beast as serpent-like. Others said it looked like a prehistoric dinosaur. One local even claimed it had the head of a cow and eyes that glowed at night. Over the years, the legend has become part of local culture. Some believe the monster is a leftover from the Ice Age, trapped in the lake as the land changed. Skeptics think it's just a sturgeon or a misidentified log, but those who've seen it insist it's something far stranger. Though no one has ever captured the creature, the mystery remains unsolved, drawing curious visitors every summer. Even today, families camping by the lake tell stories around the fire, keeping their eyes on the water just in case. Whether it's real or just a fish tale, the Walgrren Lake Monster lives on in Nebraska lore. One ripple in the calm water is all it takes to bring the legend roaring back to life. Number 13. Captain Bailey's Ghost. In the small town of Brownville, Nebraska, the tale of Captain Bailey's ghost has lived on for more than a century. Captain Bailey was a respected riverboat captain in the 1860s who built a large brick home for himself in Brownville after retiring. But his peaceful days were cut short when he was murdered in 1877 under mysterious circumstances. Some say it was over land disputes. Others whisper it was an act of revenge. Either way, the killer was never caught, and Captain Bailey never left. Locals believe the ghost of Bailey still haunts the home he built, known today as the Bailey House Museum. Visitors and staff have reported strange occurrences. Heavy footsteps echo through empty halls, doors slam without reason, and cold spots appear suddenly. Some have even seen a shadowy figure in the upstairs window, standing silently, watching the town he once knew. One of the most unsettling stories comes from a visitor who claimed to see the captain himself, dressed in old-fashioned clothing, calmly walking through the hallway before disappearing into thin air. Paranormal investigators have also explored the home and recorded unexplained sounds, adding to the belief that something or someone still lingers inside. Today, the Bailey House remains open to the public, but many tread carefully while exploring its rooms. Whether he's guarding his home or still seeking justice, Captain Bailey's ghost has become a permanent part of Brownville's history. Number 12. The Aurora Witch. In the quiet farming town of Aurora, Nebraska, a legend took root that has never quite faded. In the late 1800s, rumors spread of a mysterious woman who lived on the edge of town, alone, reclusive, and always dressed in black. Locals feared her, claiming she could curse crops with a glance or call storms with a whisper. When livestock fell ill or strange lights danced across the prairie, people blamed the Aurora Witch. Tension grew until one day the townsfolk took matters into their own hands. They dragged the woman from her home and hanged her from a tree near the cemetery. It was a grim moment, and many believed the town had rid itself of dark magic. But almost immediately after her death, strange things began to happen. The tree where she died refused to grow leaves, animals avoided the area, and eerie lights were seen floating over the graves. Over the years, countless visitors have reported seeing a figure in black wandering through the cemetery at night. Some say she whispers their names. Others claim to hear soft crying. On stormy nights, flashes of lightning reveal her silhouette by the old hanging tree, standing still as if waiting for justice or revenge. Though no historical record names the woman, her legend has become deeply tied to Aurora's identity. Locals still warn curious explorers to stay away from the cemetery after dark. The Aurora Witch may have died over a century ago, but her spirit and the fear she inspired still casts a shadow over the town. Number 11. Ghosts of the 1894 Train Wreck. In the heart of Lincoln lies Wilderness Park, a sprawling area of trees, trails, and quiet creeks. But buried beneath its peaceful surface is the memory of a tragic disaster. On August 9th, 1894, two passenger trains collided head-on in the park's dense forest. 11 people were killed, and dozens more were injured. The crash was so violent that some of the wreckage burned for days. It was one of the worst train accidents in Nebraska history. Since then, strange things have been reported in the park, especially near the site of the old tracks. Hikers have heard the screech of metal on metal, phantom whistles in the night, and the sound of running footsteps where no one is in sight. Some claim to see misty figures walking through the trees, wearing old-fashioned clothing or staring silently at the woods. One of the most chilling stories involves a glowing light that appears on the trail, said to resemble a train's headlamp. It moves steadily forward before vanishing into the darkness. Others say they've heard voices calling out for help, echoing through the trees. Paranormal groups have visited the site, capturing unexplained audio and thermal anomalies. While most enjoy Wilderness Park for its beauty, those who know the legend tread with quiet respect. Beneath the leaves and wildflowers lies a place marked by loss, and on certain nights it seems the souls of the 1894 train wreck still walk the path they never meant to take. Number 10. Bigfoot. For generations, whispers of a towering creature lurking in the wilds of Nebraska have persisted. In the pine-covered hills of the Panhandle, especially near Chadron and Fort Robinson, locals tell of a beast resembling Bigfoot, a giant figure covered in dark hair standing over 7 feet tall. Reports of eerie howls, snapped branches, and large footprints have appeared in local newspapers as far back as the 1970s. Ranchers, hunters, and even park visitors say they've glimpsed something impossible, something watching from the trees. One famous sighting came in 1974 when a family camping in the Nebraska National Forest claimed a massive creature walked through their campsite at night. They described glowing eyes, a foul odor, and an overwhelming sense of dread. Their story was followed by dozens of other similar encounters over the years, often involving livestock vanishing or wild howls echoing through the trees. Law enforcement even investigated several cases but found nothing definitive. Some believe this creature is connected to Native American legends of a forest guardian, a spirit that walks alone to protect the land. Others think it's simply a surviving branch of some ancient species, hiding in the deep woods of western Nebraska. Whatever the case, the legend continues to grow with every unexplained footprint or chilling cry heard after sunset. Today, Bigfoot has become part of Nebraska folklore. Towns like Harrison and Chadron hold events and gatherings for believers and skeptics alike. Though no one has ever captured the creature, the legend refuses to fade. As long as the forests stand and strange noises pierce the quiet, the people of Nebraska will keep one eye on the trees. Number 9. The Woman in White of Antelope Park. Antelope Park in Lincoln is known for its scenic trails and family-friendly charm, but once the sun goes down, the park becomes the center of a chilling tale. Locals speak of a mysterious woman in white who appears near the old bridge at twilight. She is often described as young, with long dark hair and a flowing dress, silently gliding across the grass or standing near the creek with a sorrowful expression. According to legend, the woman in white is the spirit of a bride-to-be who died in a tragic carriage accident in the late 1800s. The story goes that she and her fiancé were riding through the park when their carriage overturned near the water, drowning her before help could arrive. Devastated, her fiancé reportedly never recovered, and visitors say her ghost remains, still waiting for the life she lost. Over the years, parkgoers have reported sudden chills, disembodied sobbing, and even glimpses of the figure vanishing into the fog. Some say their phones stop working near the bridge, or that they hear footsteps behind them with no one around. While skeptics say it's just imagination, others believe the spirit is real and tied to the land by heartbreak. Despite its eerie reputation, Antelope Park remains a popular spot, but those who know the tale keep their visits brief once the sun begins to dip. For some, the sight of a gentle figure in white is just a story. For others, it's a memory that lingers long after leaving the path. Number 8. The Tragedy of Blackbird Hill. In the heart of Thurston County, near the Bluffs overlooking the Missouri River, lies Blackbird Hill, a place steeped in beauty and sadness. The land was once home to the famous Omaha chief Blackbird, but another tale has overshadowed even his legacy. It is the legend of a young woman whose tragic love story has turned into one of Nebraska's most heartbreaking hauntings. According to the story, in the late 1800s, a pioneer woman fell in love with a traveling school teacher. But when he left and never returned, she was forced into marriage with another man. One day, the school teacher came back unexpectedly, and the woman begged her husband to let her go. Enraged, the husband took her to the top of Blackbird Hill and, in a fit of jealousy, ended her life before taking his own. Since then, hikers and visitors to the hill have reported hearing cries on the wind and seeing a ghostly woman standing at the edge of the bluff, looking down at the river. On certain fall evenings, locals say the entire hill takes on an eerie stillness, as if the land remembers the tragedy. Some have even claimed to see figures reenacting the final confrontation, vanishing before they can get close. The story has been passed down through generations, with small details changing, but the core of the tale remains. It's a reminder of how love, jealousy, and heartbreak can leave a mark not just on people, but on the land itself. Whether ghost or memory, something lingers on Blackbird Hill. To this day, the area draws curious visitors and ghost hunters, but those who know the story best often advise one thing. If you go, don't linger after dusk, because some heartbreaks refuse to rest. Number 7. Mutant Radioactive Hornets. In the shadow of Nebraska's Cold War legacy, a strange and chilling rumor began to spread near the old Cornhusker Army ammunition plant in Grand Island. Locals whispered about swarms of enormous hornets, far larger than anything native to the plains, said to have been mutated by decades of chemical and radioactive waste. Workers who once staffed the site claimed that parts of the plant were sealed off after unexplained accidents involving these aggressive insects. Though dismissed by officials, the tales have taken hold of the town's imagination. Witnesses describe these hornets as the size of a man's hand, with glowing eyes and abnormally loud buzzing. According to local accounts, sightings began in the 1980s, shortly after the plant was largely decommissioned. Farmers near the facility reported livestock stings, with strange swelling and aggressive behavior in animals. Even hikers who strayed too close to the old plant claimed to hear unnatural buzzing sounds, often followed by mysterious bites or rashes. While scientists and historians chalk it up to overblown fears of radiation or industrial contamination, the legend has proven hard to squash. Some believe the government is still monitoring the site due to continuing environmental risks. Others swear that at dusk you can hear the buzz of something unnatural coming from the overgrown fence line, warning outsiders to stay away. Today, the site is largely abandoned and overgrown, adding to the eerie atmosphere. Despite investigations, no physical evidence of giant hornets has been found, but the stories remain strong. In Grand Island, the legend of the radioactive hornets lives on as a cautionary tale, where nature and mankind's mistakes may have fused into something far more terrifying. Number 6. Numbi, Little People of the Bluffs. Long before settlers arrived in Nebraska, the indigenous tribes of the plains told stories of the Numbi, mysterious little people said to live in the bluffs and hills of the region. According to Lakota and Crow traditions, the Numbi were small, magical beings who could appear and disappear at will, often playing tricks or punishing those who disrespected nature. Though small in stature, they were known for their powerful medicine and quick tempers. Some stories portray the Numbi as protectors of sacred places. Hunters who stumbled into forbidden areas often found their tools missing or were led in circles until they gave up and left. There are even accounts of travelers being guided to safety in storms by glowing lights believed to be Numbi spirits. These tales are deeply respected within tribal traditions, and warnings still circulate about disturbing certain hills and riverbanks. In modern times, sightings have been reported in the wild areas near Scotts Bluff and other highland regions. People tell of small footprints in the dirt, childlike giggles with no visible source, or strange lights darting through trees at night. While many dismiss the stories as myth, tribal elders maintain they are very real, warning that disrespecting the Numbi brings misfortune. To this day, these legends remind Nebraskans that the land holds ancient mysteries. The Numbi are not ghosts or monsters, but something older, guardians of the Bluffs, respected and feared. Their legend still echoes through the wind-carved canyons and lonely hills, a reminder that the past is never far behind. Number 5. Concordia's Native American spirits. On the peaceful campus of Concordia University in Seward, Nebraska, students often speak of a haunting presence tied to the land's deeper history. Before the school was founded, the area was a sacred site for indigenous peoples, used for ceremony and gatherings. Over time, stories began to surface of spiritual disturbances, strange shadows in old buildings, whispered voices in the trees, and the uneasy feeling of being watched. One of the most well-known tales involves a specific grove near the university, where students report hearing drums and chanting late at night. Those who have visited the spot describe cold gusts and flickers of movement that vanish when approached. Though some dismiss it as nerves or wind, the consistency of the reports has kept the legend alive for generations of Concordia students. Local historians believe the area may have once hosted ceremonial grounds, possibly near a burial site. Several accidental finds of arrowheads and artifacts have supported this theory. Despite renovations and changes to the campus, the experiences continue, suggesting that the spirits are tied not to a structure, but the land itself. Concordia embraces its mysterious legacy with quiet reverence. While the stories may cause goosebumps, they're treated with respect and care. Many believe the spirits remain not out of anger, but to remind the living to honor what came before. In Seward, the past walks softly through the present, especially on moonlit nights beneath the ancient trees. Number 4. William Thompson's preserved scalp. In the 1860s, Omaha was still a rough frontier town filled with saloons, shady dealings, and violent feuds. One such feud ended with the death of William Thompson, a known troublemaker who met his end during a dispute that turned fatal. But what made his story legendary was what happened after his death. For reasons lost to time, someone decided to preserve Thompson's scalp and keep it on display. It became a grim curiosity, tucked away in the Douglas County Historical Society's collection for decades. Locals began to whisper that Thompson wasn't at rest. Some said that anyone who touched the scalp without respect would soon fall ill or suffer a streak of terrible luck. Museum staff reported feeling watched when near the display, and some visitors claimed to hear whispers or catch fleeting shadows in the gallery. The hair on the preserved scalp reportedly moved once, despite no draft or explanation. Eventually, the display was removed and stored out of public view. But that didn't quiet the legends. Nighttime staff still claim that lights flicker near the archives, and some say the door to the storage room opens on its own. One even reported finding the scalp outside its case, resting neatly on a shelf where it didn't belong. Whatever spirit is tied to that relic, it seems Thompson refuses to be forgotten. Today, the story of William Thompson's scalp remains one of Omaha's strangest and most unsettling tales. It's a reminder that sometimes the line between historical artifact and haunted object is thinner than we'd like to believe. Whether the scalp holds a restless spirit or not, those who've encountered it tend to agree it's better left undisturbed. Number 3. Ghosts of the Temple Theater. Built in the early 1900s on the University of Nebraska Lincoln campus, The Temple Theater has long been a center for drama, music, and performance. But behind the curtains and beneath the stage, there's a much darker presence. Over the decades, students and staff have reported shadowy figures roaming the backstage area, doors slamming by themselves, and eerie cold spots during rehearsals. Some believe these events are tied to a tragedy that took place shortly after the building opened. According to campus lore, a student actor in the 1920s took his own life in the theater after being publicly humiliated during a performance. Since then, countless performers have claimed to see a man in vintage stage clothing lingering in the wings or pacing the balcony seats. Lights flicker with no explanation, and props have been known to move between scenes without anyone touching them. Even the bravest stage crew won't stay alone in the theater after midnight. Faculty members tried to dismiss the claims, but paranormal investigators who visited the Temple Theater in the 1990s recorded unexplained sounds and strange electromagnetic activity. One recording even picked up what sounded like a whispered line from Shakespeare, though no one was speaking at the time. These signs only deepen the belief that the spirit is a heartbroken actor, doomed to perform for eternity. The Temple Theater remains in use today, and while most performances go off without a hitch, every now and then something strange interrupts the show. Whether it's a light that goes out, a door that creaks open on its own, or the feeling that someone is standing just off stage, the theater holds onto its ghostly reputation, making it one of Nebraska's most haunting cultural landmarks. Number 2, the unquiet dead of Barnard Park. Barnard Park in Fremont is a peaceful green space today, but its past is far from quiet. Long before it became a park, the land was used as a burial ground in the 1800s. Over time, many graves were moved to make room for the growing town, but not all the bodies made the journey. As a result, locals believe that spirits still roam the grassy paths, uneasy after being disturbed. Visitors often report seeing shadowy figures at dusk or hearing faint voices near the trees. In the early 1900s, residents living near the park started experiencing odd events. Lamps would flicker, strange knocking sounds echoed through empty homes, and pets refused to go near certain parts of the park. One family even claimed their young daughter would speak to someone no one else could see, describing an old woman in a long black dress who sat on a bench every evening. When the town checked historical records, they found mention of a woman buried on that exact spot before her grave was moved. Over the years, efforts to fully map the old cemetery failed. Coffins were discovered during construction projects, and some bones were accidentally unearthed by curious children digging in the dirt. Despite multiple attempts to bless the land and calm the spirits, the paranormal activity never truly stopped. Locals have come to accept that the park has permanent guests, some seen, others only felt. Barnard Park may look like a quiet place for a picnic, but as the sun sets, many avoid it altogether. It stands as a reminder of Fremont's past and the consequences of forgetting the dead. Today, those who walk through it at night tread lightly, hoping not to wake the unquiet souls that still call it home. Number 1, Vengeful Spirits of Ball Cemetery. Hidden on the outskirts of Springfield, Ball Cemetery has gained a notorious reputation as one of Nebraska's most haunted places. The small rural graveyard dates back to the 1800s and it's home to the final resting places of early settlers, Civil War veterans, and forgotten children. But after dark, the quiet cemetery becomes a hotbed for paranormal encounters. Visitors have reported strange lights floating above headstones, ghostly voices calling from the trees, and sudden cold spots that chill to the bone, even in summer. Some claim to have seen a man in a wide-brimmed hat roaming the grounds, only to vanish when approached. Others believe a spirit known as Mary haunts the area, fiercely protective of the land and hostile to trespassers. Several paranormal investigators have visited the cemetery, recording unexplained EVPs and capturing strange photos of glowing orbs or human-like shapes. One group even claimed their car wouldn't start after visiting, and when it finally did, all 4 doors had mysteriously unlocked. Whether prank or paranormal, the cemetery's eerie reputation continues to grow. Ball Cemetery is now a magnet for thrill seekers and ghost hunters, but locals warn that it's not a place to visit lightly. The spirits buried there seem to resent disturbances, and many who've dared to visit say they left with more than just a scare. They left with something following them home. Now please tell us which legend did you like the most. Also, if you enjoyed the video, please click the like button and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See you in the next one.